Chapter 5 Quality. So, today we are going to read such a wonderful story about a person who dedicated his life for his work. His work was an art. So, let's start the chapter now. The author knew a person from his childhood as the person used to make his father's boots. This person lived with his elder brother in his shop. The shop was in a small by street in the famous part of London of that time. The shop was a bit different than the others. There was no sign upon it except the name of Gessler brothers who lived and worked in the shop. In the window of the shop there were only a few pair of boots on display. The boots he made never failed to fit. According to the author, boots made by Mr. Gessler seemed to him very mysterious and wonderful. The author narrated about how he had once asked Mr. Gessler, while stretching out his foot to him, if making boots was awfully hard to do. The sudden smile was visible from the redness of his beard as he told the author in his German accent that it was an art. The author says that it was not possible for anyone to go and order boots very often because the boots he made lasted very long. He believed the shoes had something in them which made them last longer than they were supposed to. The experience in Mr. Gessler's shop was different than most shops. One has to wait in the shop by sitting comfortably in a single wooden chair. According to the author, this was similar to one visiting the church. A harsh sound would come with the noise of his slippers beating the wooden stairs. He would stand before one without a coat. His posture was a little bent. He would come to the customer in his regular work clothes and would blink rapidly as if he had been awakened from some dreams of boots. The author would greet the shoemaker and tell him his order. Without saying even a word, Mr. Gessler would go to bring something to show to the author. The author would sit again and wait while inhaling the smell of leather which corresponded with the smell of incense in a church. Mr. Gessler would come back with a piece of gold-brown leather in his hand. He would admire the beautiful piece in his German accent. The author would admire the piece too. Then Mr. Gessler would ask when the author would like his order. The author would tell him that he could give it as convenient to him. Mr. Gessler would answer that shoes will be ready in a given time duration. But if his elder brother was there, the answer would be that he would ask his brother and then let him know. Then the author would thank and greet the shoemaker. The shoemaker would do the same, his eyes still observing the piece of leather. One day the author told the shoemaker about the last pair of boots which creaked. Mr. Gessler looked at the author without replying. He was expecting the author to take back his statement or to modify it. When the author didn't do so, Mr. Gessler said that it shouldn't have creaked. The shoemaker said that it was possible that they were wet before the author put them on. However, the author rejected this possibility. Mr. Gessler lowered his eyes and hunted for the memory of the boots. Mr. Gessler looked sad, and the author felt bad for mentioning such a grave thing to such a hard-working person like him. Then the shoemaker told the author to bring the boots back to him. He wished to find the fault in them. The shoemaker then told the author that there are some boots which are bad since the starting of their manufacture, and there is something that cannot be fixed. Mr. Gessler then told him if there would be such a case for his boots too, he would take them off the author's bill. Once the author went to Mr. Gessler's shop to order some boots, and absent-mindedly he was wearing a pair of boots bought in an emergency from a large shop. Mr. Gessler took his order without showing him any leather, as he was busy studying the uncomfortable boots the author was wearing. The shoemaker then finally said that those boots were not made by him. The tone of the shoemaker when he told the author was not of anger or of sadness. Neither was it disrespectful. However, he sounded so emotionless that the author was terrified. He then put his hand down and pressed a finger at the left boot. Specifically, the author was not finding the boot comfortable. The shoemaker then told the author that the spot he was touching was hurting the author. Then he began speaking about the condition and the hardship of his trade. He complained that the big firms had no self-respect. It was the first time the author had heard him discuss something so personal about his business. Mr. Gessler said that the large firm paid more attention to the quantity of money rather than the quality of their products. Their advertisements was more attractive than their work. The people get easily attracted to the large firms. Hence, the large companies took all his customers because of the advertisement. Presently, he had no work and was suffering financially because of this. He also mentioned that every year his work got less and that it would affect him so badly that the author would soon see how hard his work was. The author looked at his old face, which was lined, and saw things he had never noticed before. He noticed the bitter struggles Mr. Gessler had to go through. He could see that he had become too old because of facing the hardship, but he was still trying to go on. The author then tried to explain the reason behind buying those shoes, but the facial expression and the tone of the shoemaker had made such a deep impact on the author that he couldn't help but buy so many pairs during the next few minutes that he did not need to visit him for the next 2 years. Once, the author went to the shop just to meet the shoemaker. When he went to the shop, he saw that Mr. Gessler's elder brother was handling a piece of leather. The author greeted Mr. Gessler and asked about his well-being. Mr. Gessler came closer and told him that he was fine, but his elder brother was dead. Mr. Gessler then said that his elder brother was a good man and made good boots. He indicated that the cause of his brother's death was old age. Then Mr. Gessler changed the topic by talking about boots and showing the author a beautiful piece of leather. The author felt so bad for the shoemaker that he ordered several pairs. They came after a long time. However, the quality was better than ever. They were so good that they lasted longer than ordinary boots. Soon after the author received the boots, he went abroad. After an year, the author was back again in London. The first shop the author went to was Mr. Gessler's, whom he considered his old friend. But the shoemaker's appearance had completely changed. He started looking like 75 years old at the age of 60. Mr. Gessler looked very thin and tired. He couldn't even recognize the author. Mr. Gessler asked the author if he wanted any boots. He added that he could make them quickly as he had plenty of free time. The author requested the shoemaker to make boots of each kind. The order was taking a lot of time to arrive, so the author had given up on those boots and the hope that someday they would arrive. However, the boots arrived in the evening that day. One by one he tried each and every boot he had received. In every aspect, shape, fit, finishing and quality, they were the best boots the shoemaker had ever made. The author quickly went downstairs to write and post the check. A week after the author had received his boots, he passed the little street where Mr. Gessler's shop was located. The author felt like going to the shoemaker to praise his work. When he reached the place where his shop was located, he saw that the shoemaker's name was not there anymore. The author was disturbed to see this and went into the shop. In the shop there was a young Englishman instead of Mr. Gessler. The author asked the young man if Mr. Gessler was in the shop. The young man denied. He then added that he could attend anything with pleasure and had taken the shop over. The author didn't pay much attention to the comment as he wanted to meet Mr. Gessler. He repeated his question. The young man understood and told the author that he was dead. The author was shocked. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. He told the man that it wasn't possible for him to be dead as he had received the boots just last Wednesday week. The young Englishman started explaining what had happened. He told the author that Mr. Gessler had starved himself. According to the doctors, the cause of death was slow starvation. It happened because of how he would work. He would keep the shop on but won't let anyone touch the boots except himself. When he would get an order, he would take too much time to make and deliver them. That's how the shoemaker started losing his customers. People didn't have that much patience. However, the shoemaker wouldn't stop working. Though he made the best boots, but because he never advertised, he was unable to stand the competition. The Englishman told him that with the ideas the shoemaker had, this was bound to happen. The author couldn't still understand how the cause of death was starvation. The man said that the cause might be over-elaborated, but he used to observe his actions from day to night till the last boot Mr. Gessler would make that day. The shoemaker never gave himself time to eat and didn't have a penny in his house. He would spend all his money on rent and leather, but not on food. According to the man, it was surprising to see someone so old live so long without food. He was someone who had a unique character, but he made good boots. The author agreed with the young man, and who better than the author knew that Mr. Gessler made good boots indeed. So the moral of the story is dedication and commitment towards one's work. The Gessler brothers throughout the story remained true to themselves and their work. Even if they suffered heavy losses at the end, Gessler brothers made the best boots in London. They did not compromise with the quality of the work for the sake of earning more. Mr. Gessler had said once that for him shoemaking was an art, and he proved it. Their shoes were of such fine quality that one could not easily wear them out. Their passion and dedication teaches us that one must work sincerely, so that even if they die, one day their name like the Gessler brothers will carry on.